collaboration, consolider le partenariat public-privé et collaborer d'une façon mieux dans les différents partenaires. Et je vous remercie.
Thank you so much. Joseph, please, Minister.
Thank you. Same question? Yes. Okay. I'll echo what the Honorable Minister just mentioned. I really honestly believe that we have all the expertise we need and experience on the continent. So if we all work together, we can actually solve this problem. I don't think that we do that collaboration as often as we should do. We don't learn from each other, but we sometimes go and learn from areas that are so different from us that you can't apply what you learn from them. While we have what has been working in different countries in Africa. So we need to increase that collaboration. And when we talk about solutions, we need to think about solution for the continent, not solution for one country. I think that's really, really imperative. And lastly, we all want to collaborate with everybody. So the GP has been a very good partner for us in Rwanda. And we would like to see actually the replenishment conference be successful this coming year. And hopefully, because I think we can do a lot of more change on that. However, we also have to make clear that we will do this with or without other people. It's not an option for us. We will do it.
You can applaud that, yes.
So we will do it, but of course we want to partner, but without the partnership, we're still going to do it. And so I invite all of us as Africans to really collaborate together and to take our destiny in our own hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, and Minister Joseph. And we must do it. We have no choice but to do it. Please, TM.
Yes, we must do it. You have no choice. It's the responsibility of government to do it. D'autant que le droit à l'éducation dans presque tous les pays, c'est un droit qui est inscrit dans la Constitution et la Constitution des pays dit ce droit doit être garanti par le gouvernement, par l'État. Donc c'est la responsabilité première de l'État. Deuxièmement, on le fait à travers l'Union africaine, on le fait à travers les organisations sous-régionales comme la CEDEAO. Nous devons aussi promouvoir la coopération inter- et intra-africaine. C'est très important que nous puissions coopérer à ce niveau-là dans le domaine de l'éducation. Et troisièmement, le financement qu'on reçoit des pays donateurs n'est pas de la charité. Il faut bien le comprendre. C'est un financement pour une prospérité partagée. Le financement qu'on fait dans les pays en développement, in fine, c'est un financement pour une prospérité partagée. Parce que ce financement a un impact sur la croissance des pays qui reçoivent ça à long terme. Et c'est un financement aussi qui permet à des enfants d'aller à l'école. Et lorsque des enfants vont à l'école, c'est une façon de contribuer à la sécurité mondiale de façon globale. C'est ça que je voudrais aussi indiquer.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. The final word, it seems, will be given to us by the private sector. Over to you, Emmanuel.
Hello. I think for the private sector, I would say we look up to governance. Governance is very, very critical. So when we talk about issues of financing or the various innovative ways of financing, we would like to see more proactive engagement around transparency in allocating risk, fairness around it, adaptability of schemes or structures to finance or partner with various institutions and all of that. That's very, very critical for us. So we really want that proactive engagement. The right regulatory incentives around taxes becomes very, very critical for us as well, where we can engage and know what is ahead. With that strong governance structures, we are able to also plan resources and allocate capital internally for the benefit of or the greater good of all of our stakeholders. Number two, The other point that I think is critical for us, especially in the financial service sector, is how we make much more progress towards harmonizing regulations on the continent. We've seen the potential benefits and advantages from the AFTA project by Afrexim Bank. And I think it's about time we deepen or we follow through with more proactive engagement in harmonizing regulations around capital, banking, insurance. Those are my final words on that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, as we close, I want to also take responsibility as an Africa ecosystem player to make a commitment. And so I think our commitment from the world of those who are in communications, or those who are in this space where we can share narratives, stories, is to get the stories of transformation out, show what is working, and to continue to support dialogues like this. And Albert knows, and Joseph knows, and you will always find us ready when you need it to stand alongside you on anything around African education and African progress. So challenge us, challenge the media, and we'll continue to do that, to put more storytelling on education, much more. So we'll take that challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to end with an African proverb that tells us a single tooth cannot chew. It simply can't. And so to ask us all in this room to be present, to be engaged, thank you again for being here. That's the first step. And please enjoy the conversations, engage, network, and let's transform our continent. Thank you very much. And an applause, please, for the panel. Thank you.
And a round of applause for Julie Gichuru. Please put your hands together. Thank you very much. Our most eloquent moderator. This is ADEA, our 2025 Triennale, and we're so happy you've joined us here in the gateway to Africa. If you are not from this continent and you enter Africa without passing through Ghana, you've not done the right thing, because Ghana is the obvious gateway. Ask the person sitting next to you, have you been to the gateway yet? And welcome them in your language. We also have a translation on the devices next to you. If you want to listen to English, which channel must you use?
Channel 1.
So if you want to...
Channel 1 for English and then channel 2 for French.
Can you say that in French?
Donc, on a des casques pour l'interprétation. Donc, première chaîne, c'est pour l'anglais et la deuxième, c'est pour le français. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. I said Ghana is the gateway to Africa. How do you say that in French? No, I'm putting you on the spot.
Now you're putting me on the spot.
Wonderful. So there are about 15 exhibitors outside, really, really looking forward to you coming to their stands, displaying everything from robotics to new learning systems, early childhood development, and research in education. Please find some time to visit these stands and acquaint yourself with what they have. We also want to announce that our special guest is the Vice President of Ghana, a celebrated educationist, the first female Vice Chancellor of a university in Ghana. We're so proud of her that she's the Vice President, and she's joining us in a few moments. But before she comes, what's going to happen?
We'll have a cultural performance by a young lady by name Miss Mumuni Rashida. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's welcome Miss Rashida.
For a spoken word,
yes, a poem.
Celebrating the place of education. Even if you're not happy, you should be happy about education. Put your hands together for Rashida one more time. Rashida will take us through a spoken word on education.
Thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to stand before you today. Well, I was wondering, what can I possibly say standing in front of dignitaries who are passionate about education, if not to hit on the importance of inclusive education? You see, the distance between success and aspiration is education. But aspirations are expensive imaginations, and education is a luxury, especially for children with disabilities, but certainly Poverty stands as a disability of all disabilities. It is a prison of inadequacies, a purgatory of inconveniences, where a child is tortured with the reality of a future he cannot dare. It is a place to fear, a place where you can see your dreams and packets too crippled to take you there is to aspire and retire. Because your goals makes you perspire, and each time you watch them expire before you, it is true that even the disabled are capable of so much when enabled, helps that are sustainable, but dreams are only feasible when affordable, and aspirations are only attainable when reachable. And even though education breeds hope for African children, brethren, special children require special teachers, and special teachers require special training. And I am not even complaining, I'm explaining that if inclusive education is too high a price to pay today, then ignorance is the debt to have to pay another day. So I said, let's act today. I said, let's build this future today. I said, let's become the bringers of hope for African children by inculcating inclusivity in education. Thank you.
Wow. I think that was great. She deserves another round of applause. That was Rashida too. Amazing stuff. We'd like to invite the Valley View Choir to give us a quick performance before the official opening ceremony starts. So if the Valley View Choir are here, please take up the slot. Thank you very much. We welcome the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Excellency Professor Jenano Pukwajiman. Accompanied by Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu. Let's remain standing for the national anthem. Okay, please hold on with the anthem. She's still exchanging pleasantries. Thank you.
And make our nation great and strong, bold to defend forever the cause of freedom and of right. Fill our hearts with true humility, make us cherish of praises through it all I will, and might forevermore. And how best to resist the praises through it all I will, and might forevermore.
Please be seated. We welcome all of you to the official opening ceremony of ADEA 2025 Triennale here in Accra, Ghana. My name is Bernard Avle. My co-MC is
Priska Patience Jamodie.
We want to first welcome Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman. Please put your hands together for her. Welcome home, because you are among your colleagues. We know you spent a distinguished career in education, and these are friends of yours from all over the world. So, Akwaba to you. Put your hands together one more time. Our host is the Minister for Education, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and Member of Parliament for Tamale South. Let's acknowledge him with a round of applause. We are very privileged to have the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology and Innovation for the AU, Excellency Professor Gaspard Banyankimbona. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
All right. We're also very privileged to have the Executive Secretary of ADEA, Albert Nsenguyimva. And last but not least on that list, we have the AFDB Country Manager for Ghana, Miss Jerusalem Fasika. We are privileged to have a number of Ministers of Education and Deputy Ministers for Education. My colleague will just acknowledge some of them. The list is very tall. Please forgive us if we miss out on your name. Who else do we have, please?
So for Botswana, we are warmly joined by Honorable Minister Prince Mayele, Minister of Higher Education. Please acknowledge him. We are happy to have you here, sir. We also have Honorable, for Liberia, we have Honorable Clifford Kona Jr., Assistant Minister for Teacher Education. Thank you for making it here, sir. And then for Mauritania, nous avons Honorable Dr. Madame Ouda Baba Sid Mamed. C'est ça? Merci d'être ici, Madame. Nous l'apprécions beaucoup. And then for Namibia, we have Honorable Dino Baloti, Deputy Minister of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sports, Arts and Culture. Thank you for being with us. And for Rwanda, we have Honorable Mr. Joseph Nsengimana, Minister of Education. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur, d'être avec nous. And then for Sierra Leone, we have Honorable Mr. Conrad Omalike Saki. Did I get it right? You're welcome, sir. Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education. I think that would be...
Well, with a name like Saki, you obviously have Ghanaian roots. So even if you are not from here, we claim you.
Akwaba.
Acknowledging also the Ghana Deputy Minister for Education and a Member of Parliament for Busa South, the Honorable Clement Apak. Thank you for being here. And we earlier on had the Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Ampemnyako, who gave us a speech as well. We're going to have a few quick speeches to set the scene for a very busy 3 days. We'd like to first bring upstage the Executive Secretary for ADEA in the person of Albert Nsengimva. Help me.
So we have Mr. Albert Nsengimva. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a round of applause.
Hello.
I hope by the end of the Triennale, the name was going to be familiar here in Ghana. You know, they will know how to read it. Honorable, Your Excellency, Vice President of Ghana, Mama Jane Nana Ogoko Agema, thank you for coming. I know your time is extremely busy, but we really appreciate your presence here. Thank you so much for being here. And I must say that we are here because of you, somehow. She's a professor by profession. She's a professor. She's a former Minister of Education. She used to be the chair of Power. So she's known. She's known in the family. So thank you. And God has made it for you to be here today for the opening of Triennale. I remember we had a chance to meet in March when I had the opportunity to and the privilege to attend the National Education Forum in Accra. And we had discussions on all kinds of issues. And I was really impressed to see that education is really part of your heart. So thank you so much for being here. Let me also acknowledge the new African Union Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology, Innovation. Thank you, Honorable, for being here. I know he just actually resumed the work. So it's happy to see you here, and thank you again. We had the opportunity to meet last week for the G20 ministerial meeting in South Africa. So having you here is really a privilege. I appreciate that. Let me also acknowledge several ministers here. Actually, the list they had just presented was not exhaustive. So I hope the Minister of Education of Ghana is going to provide an extensive and exhaustive list of ministers present and also ministers representative that are part of this convening. I would like also to acknowledge several partners in the room. Thank you, partners. Very, very big number of partners. The number is growing and very impressive. But also let me acknowledge that number of partners that I see. I can see the faces that were there in 2022 when we met in Mauritius. So thank you for your level of fidelity, for your level of confidence in being part of this gathering and continue to contribute on such an important thing for the continent. So thank you, Ghana, again, for hosting this in such a very disruptive time. You know, there was a session, Honorable Excellency, Vice President. We just came out of a session on education financing. And we know the time we are in is actually very difficult. But some of us who have been going through these kind of challenges when we were in office, we believe challenges are there to build our learning and our capability to address them. Because comfort zone cannot definitely help us to actually to come up with solutions. So we are here in such an incredible time where on one side, the continent and the globe is under the geopolitics that are crazily engaging and evolving every time. But that's really the context we are in. And some of these things are beyond our control. But there are things that are under our control. And those are the things we need to discuss here. Those are the things that are going to guide our discussions over the coming 3 days. So I really appreciate this momentum. We met in 2022, as I already alluded to. We had great discussions. And I was looking back and say, if I was to reflect on the discussion that took place in Mauritius, what lessons have we learned from that? What are we bringing here? Because in the end, we are meeting for a reason. We are meeting because we need to fix education. Whether we talk about financing, whether we talk about curriculum, whether we talk about integrating technology, whether we talk about teacher professional development or school leadership or data, must speak, as some of us keep saying. All these are meant for a reason, strengthening our education system. So over the coming 3 days, we will have all kinds of discussions. We will engage in many different forums. But I would like to see outcome out of this. Critical issues that we need to address, including and most importantly, how we raise leadership in our different countries. Because leadership matters. It is not just about developing tools, and we have seen a number of tools coming out over the last 3 years. Whether we talk about a tool to facilitate developing policies, we have seen new facilities in terms of supporting strengthening capacities in our systems. We are seeing tools around technology. Yesterday we had an event, thank you Minister for attending the event, a framework to support integration of technology in education. All these are very important, but without leadership, without commitment, without accountability systems, all these tools will be useless. So this is really a very important momentum where we need to test all these tools and how they can operate in our different contexts and different systems. And how about connecting incredible level of policies that we have seen coming out with what happened in the classrooms? Because in the end, that's what we are talking about. We are talking about anything we do better at the policy level, anything we do better in developing tools, the end result is to improve learning outcome. So that's really where we are, and this is what we expect. I have never seen a room with such a great number of experts. Very impressive. For all over the places. I'm seeing people from Canada all the way, people from India, from United States, from Europe, all these are in this room. And they have all kinds of expertise. So the issue is no longer to convince ourselves the value of education. We have gone beyond that. The issue is how do we translate all this knowledge that we have in the room, all these frameworks that we've been developing, all these capacities to support learning outcome. The environment we are in is also, especially in education, is about taking a great number of young kids that are no longer in schools. We had a webinar, and I'm sure colleagues that organized or co-organized a webinar a couple of weeks ago, they're in the room, the education.org and UNICEF. I was shocked by the number of out-of-school children on the continent. We are talking about 100 million. So, leaders in the room, colleagues, this is a serious call to action. We cannot talk about learning outcome if children are not in school, not at all. So, it is going to take a lot of effort of us, moving away from our comfort zone, bringing new ideas on how to navigate the challenges and a number of issues that we are facing as a continent. But in the same time, we need to acknowledge we have not seen such a great opportunity for innovation and creativity. And this is why I'm so pleased to see a number of private sector representatives in the room, to see a number of leaders that have been in the system for a number of years and are ready to share their knowledge and experiences. So the balance is here. A number of issues, but also a number of opportunities. How do we balance, and how do we design a new education system on the continent that is able to sustain by connecting all those different dots? Whether we talk about curriculum, whether we talk about structural pedagogy, whether we talk about teacher professional development, the question that we're going to be having during the 3 days is connecting those dots to inform a good system that can sustain over time. So, without taking too much at a time, I know we have other senior people coming here. I would like again to express my gratitude for you to be here. I know leaders in the room, you have so many other things to deal with, but having made a decision to be here today is because you see the value of coming together as Africans, as partners, to address and fix education. Thank you all, and again, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Not just for the very clear thoughts you expressed, but also for your able leadership of ADEA. Let's put hands together for Executive Secretary, who served many, many years in the Rwandan government as Minister for Infrastructure and also TVET in education, and is showing able leadership here. We'd like to continue with the acknowledgements. We're very privileged to have the Honorable Dr. Magabo Regina Mwale, Deputy Minister for Basic Education, South Africa. Let's acknowledge her with a round of applause. Thank you very much indeed. Privileged to also have from the Gambia, Honorable Professor Pierre Gomez, PhD, HDR, Minister for Education, Research and Science from the Gambia. And we're moving to Zambia, the Minister for Education, Honorable Douglas Musaka Siyakalima. Wow. Sounds like a striker who scored against Ghana some time back. The Zambians are very skillful. And then our cousins, the Zimbabweans, the Deputy Minister for Higher and Tertiary Education, Honorable Simelisizwe Sibanda. Wow. You still owe us. Your first president was married to a Ghanaian. You haven't finished paying the bride price. So you have to be careful what you say whilst you are here. And we take bride price in cows and cash. Put your hands together for Zimbabwe. Now, as alluded, the Vice President is very busy. We're going to take 2.5 remarks before she speaks. The first one will be a quick comment from the AFDB, because we believe that without the right financing, we're not going to get anywhere. And so who do we have to speak to us?
So we have Miss Jerusalem Fasika. Mesdames et messieurs, accueillons Madame Fasika.
Originally from Ethiopia, but adopted to stay in Ghana. Put your hands together for her.
It's true, I am Ghanaian at heart, even though my passport says I'm Ethiopian. Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, Professor Nana Jane Opuku Ajemai, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Minister of Education, Ghana, the AU Commissioner for Education and Science and Technology, Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, Thomas Yaroko Ampemp, Mr. Albert Nesinga Yomba, Executive Director of ADEA, all ministers that have traveled to the beautiful Accra from the continent, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It's a distinct privilege to participate in the 2025 ADEA Triennale, one of Africa's foremost platforms for exchange of transformative ideas and experiences to shape the future of education across our continent. I'm honored to convey warm greetings from Dr. Sidi Uta, President of the African Development Bank Group, whom I have the privilege of representing at this important gathering. The theme of this triennale, strengthening the resilience of Africa's educational system, advancing towards ending learning poverty by 2035, with a well-educated and skilled workforce for the continent and beyond, is timely and aligns with the African Union's Agenda 2063. It reflects our shared commitment to building inclusive, future-ready education systems. Africa stands at a crucial juncture with learning poverty and exclusion threatening the continent's development aspirations. Nearly 80% of children in sub-Saharan Africa are unable to read by age 10, and an estimated 118 million children remain out of school. Recent reductions in education financing threaten to push an additional 6 million more out of school. These challenges are further compounded by conflict, displacement, and climate change, which continue to disrupt learning and weaken the resilience of our education systems. In tertiary education, despite commendable progress, significant gaps remain that must be urgently addressed. Africa currently invests only 0.59% of its GDP in its research and development, compared to a 1.79% global average. Most concerning is the low tertiary enrollment rate, with only 6% of African youth accessing higher education, which is far below the global benchmarks. These figures highlight the urgency of our collective efforts to transform education systems into engines of innovation, inclusion, and sustainable development. Africa's demographic profile presents a transformative opportunity. By 2035, Africa will lead globally in youth entering the workforce. Yet, this demographic dividend remains at risk. 2/3 of youth are either unemployed, discouraged, or engaged in vulnerable employment. Considering these challenges and the immense potential that lies ahead, it's imperative that we prioritize sustainable education financing across our continent to reverse learning poverty and to enhance the relevance and quality of African educational systems. The African Development Bank, through its strategic priorities, recognizes the crucial role of education and skills development in achieving a prosperous, inclusive, resilient, and integrated Africa. As such, one of the 4 cardinal points guiding President UDTA's mandate to accelerate transformative and sustainable development across the continent is, I quote, harnessing demographic potential and transformation it into a dividend. To address the significant gaps in education financing, the African Development Bank is working in collaboration with the African Union and other partners to develop the African Education Science Technology Innovation Fund. The fund seeks to address the financing gaps in education in Africa through a blended finance mechanism designed to pool financial resources from various sources, including African countries, private sector, philanthropies, multilateral finance institutions, and others. Let me take this opportunity to thank the governments of Ghana, Botswana, Malawi, Kenya, and Zambia for their visionary leadership, which led them to pledge resources for the African Education Science Technology Innovation Fund. These efforts are further reinforced through the African Development Bank's Skills for Employability and Productivity in Africa Action Plan, which covers 2022 to 2025. This strategic framework is designed to bridge Africa's persistent skills gap and address the mismatch between education outcomes and labor market demands. The framework focuses on 2 critical pillars: expanding education infrastructure and strengthening the enabling environment for skills development. Since its launch, the African Development Bank has mobilized over $3 billion through 44 investment operations to build and scale Africa's skills infrastructure. Allow me to highlight one of these transformative interventions: the Pan-African University Project. This project is an African Union-led initiative aimed at enhancing regional cooperation and coordination for the establishment of regional training and research institutions. The remarkable success of the phase 1 of this project is supporting 1,896 graduates, 1,591 graduates at master's level, and 305 graduates at PhD level, led to the approval of phase 2 to the tune of 96 million US dollar. One of the components of the African Development Bank's support to the Pan-African University is the establishment of innovation and incubation hub facilities in each of the Pan-African University institutes to strengthen the innovation and employability of graduates, as well as partnership between universities and the private sector. In conclusion, the African Development Bank firmly believes that the resilience of Africa's education systems will depend not only on increased investment, but on how innovatively and efficiently that investment is deployed. We must reimagine education financing, ensuring that every dollar spent delivers measurable improvements in quality, relevance, and impact for our children. Education must be demand-driven, aligned with labor market needs, and designed to foster innovation, competitiveness, and lifelong learning. Let this triennale serve as a rallying point. Together, let us commit to bold action, investing in education, scaling innovation, and empowering our youth. Africa's future depends on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's put our hands together one more time for the AFDB country manager to Ghana, who is representing the AFDB president. Thank you so much for that speech. We have a few more organizations to acknowledge. This is a partnership, so let's acknowledge a few of them.
So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we would like to acknowledge some of our partners in our midst. So, we have the Global Partnership for Education, which is represented by Mr. Mbaye Serinthiam. Soyez les bienvenus, messieurs. We also have for the private sector, UBA GCO, represented by Mr. Emmanuel Lamte Akwaba. We also have MasterCard Foundation, represented by Mr. Peter Materu. You're welcome, sir. We also have Hempel Foundation, represented by Anders Holm. You're welcome, sir. We also have Gates Foundation, represented by Mr. Benjamin Pipa. You're welcome, sir. We have UNICEF, represented by Mr. Pierre Rebolo Brito. Madame Pierre Rebolo Brito. You're welcome. And then we have Expertise France. Expertise France, il y a un représentant ici? OK. Merci beaucoup. Soyez chaleureusement les bienvenus, madame. We also have a representative from the World Bank. Okay, and then finally, Human Capital Africa, represented by Mr. Obi.
That's Dr. Obi.
Sorry.
Ezekwesili. Dr. Obi Agali, forgive us. You know, when you see a name and it's not an English name, be very careful.
Well noted.
Dr. Obi, forgive us.
You're welcome, ma'am.
You know, we Ewes and Igbos, our names are gender neutral, so Edem can mean anything, so Obi Agali can mean anything. Now, we're trying to expedite the time, so I said to Minister, we can make this very simple. If you're a speaker whose country hasn't qualified for the World Cup, you won't come on stage at all. So it will be very easy. Only 9 countries have qualified. But he says, no, that's not fair because, you know, in Ghana, we welcome everybody. So the compromise is that if your country is not going for the World Cup, you have a very short time to speak. But this doesn't apply to our next speaker because he is from the AU. So so this applies to everybody else, but Excellency Professor Gaspard Banyakim Bona. But after him, if you are not going to the World Cup, please, 2 minutes. So let's welcome the AU Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, Excellency Professor Gaspard Banyankiboma.
Thank you very much, MC. Your Excellency, Professor Jane Nana Okopu Agemang, Vice President, Republic of Ghana. Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers of Education, Science, Technology, Deputy Ministers, Ministers of Finance, the representative of the African Development Bank, Your Excellency, Albert Sengiyumva, Executive Secretary of ADEA, distinguished partners, education associations and institutions, vice chancellors, I've seen some of them, friends of education in Africa, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, a very good morning to you. It's an honor indeed and a profound privilege to address you today at this landmark ADEA Triennale, one of the most Africa's premier forum for shaping the future of education, training, and human capital development. I'm Gaspard Banyankimbona, the Commissioner, Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, African Union Commission, and I've been in office for the last 3 weeks. But I'm in the sector for a number of years, around 20 years. In April this year, I was in this very room in another event celebrating 10 years of the success story of the African Centers of Excellence project. I will begin by expressing the African Union's deepest gratitude to the government and people of Ghana for your continued leadership in advancing Africa's education and skills development agenda and for generously hosting this forum. The ADEA Triennale 2025 convenes at a historical moment for our continent. As you may be aware, we have 3 or even more new strategies. After the year of education 2024, our heads of state and government proclaimed 2025-2034 as the African Union Decade of Education and Skills Development, a decade of accelerated action to transform Africa's human capital. Today, as we celebrate this Triennale, we are having, as I just said, a new continental strategy for Africa, education strategy for Africa, 2026-2035, a new continental TVET strategy, a new science and technology and innovation strategy for Africa, and all those frameworks collectively define our continental ambition to build resilience, innovative, inclusive, and future-ready education systems. These new guiding policy frameworks demand that we link classroom to labor market, integrate green and digital competencies, and ensure no learner, especially girls, children with disabilities, or those in conflict zone and climate vulnerable regions, is left behind. As it was rightly highlighted in this meeting already, with the global aid declining, we as African continent must shift from dependency to self-resilience. That is why the African Union and the African Development Bank in close partnership have been advancing what was just referred to by the last speaker as the African Education, Science and Technology and Innovation Fund, an African-initiated blended financing mechanism designed to mobilize domestic resources, catalyze private investment, and fund innovation in education, TVET, STEM, and research. Equally urgent is the operationalization of the African Union Research Grant Program, a critical engine for homegrown knowledge and solutions. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I want to once again echo the African Union's gratitude to the government and the people of Ghana. Your reconfirmed commitment to the African Union, to the Africa Education, Science and Technology and Innovation Fund in May this year reaffirm your steadfast belief in Africa ownership and demonstrates the bold, timely action we need to turn continental strategies into reality. I also wish to acknowledge and appreciate the commitment and pledges made by Botswana, Kenya, Malawi, and Zambia, as well as ongoing expression of interest from several other African Union member states. At the African Union, through the Department of Education, Science and Technology and Innovation, we are championing a shift from policy commitment to implementation systems, ensuring that every strategy is translated into measurable learning outcomes, institutional capacity, and accountability mechanism, both at regional and national level. We shall keep engaging with member states to formalize commitment, recognizing that sustained financial and political will is essential not only to launch the African Education, Science and Technology and Innovation Fund, but also to successfully implement the above-mentioned policy frameworks. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, allow me to use this forum to issue a special appeal. I call upon on the Committee of 10 African Heads of State, Champions of Education, known as C10, to lend their high-level political support to both the decade of education and this continental financing instrument. Education is Africa's most strategic investment, the foundation of sovereignty, prosperity, and peace. If we educate our children well, our place in the world will no longer be negotiated but earned through the excellence of our human capital. ADEA, as a trusted continental institution, must and is indeed at the forefront of the implementation, driving peer learning, evidence-based policy, and accountability across member states. ADEA, congratulations for your work. Let this 2025 ADEA Triennale mark our turning point from vision to action, from dialogue to delivery, and from aspiration to African-led transformation. I thank you.
Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. Please put your hands together one more time for His Excellency. Forgive. For that very powerful. And in case you are wondering, originally from Burundi, but covered by the AU. We have a few more ministers to acknowledge.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Honorable Justine Chipo Hunyepa, Assistant Minister of Education, Lesotho. Botswana.
Botswana, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that rectification. And we also have Dr. Folake Olatunji David, Director for Basic Education, representative for the Minister of Education, Nigeria. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
And then we have Honorable Francisco Pacheco, Secretary of State for Education, Republic of Angola. You're welcome, sir. Soyez les bienvenus.
Thank you. Now, we'd like to bring up the Minister for Education. Two things to say. When we were in the university, he was the president of the student union, and a lot of students blame him for cost sharing. Last week, they initiated free school paying for first years. So in the eyes of the students, he's redeeming himself as Minister for Education. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Minister for Education for Ghana, to bring us some quick remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernard, for those warm words. Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, Executive Director of ADEA, Albert Fasika, representing the Africa Development Bank, colleague ministers from Burkina Faso, Liberia, Mauritania, Namibia, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Botswana, Angola, Nigeria, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Akwaba, and welcome to Accra. And thank you for finding time to join us to share our experiences and ideas on education and the future of education. And my colleague, members of parliament, if there are any, Deputy Minister, Director General GES, Technical Advisor, and then our development partners, Global Partnership for Education, FCDO of the United Kingdom, the World Bank, MasterCard Foundation. I want to thank you. If you observe participation in this room, we have every reason to applaud ourselves an impressive participation. Impressive in the character of the experts that are gathered here, researchers that are here, academia and practitioners that are here. And for me, my task is a simple one. When you have your first lady vice president, first female vice president of the Republic of Ghana, a professor of good standing, do the keynote address and accept to do the keynote, who am I as minister to want to attempt to speak to the theme of the gathering, strengthening the resilience of Africa's educational systems, advancing towards ending learning poverty by 2035. We've just been reminded of the African Union decade of what is expected of us as countries. So for me, we should live here finding answers to very significant questions. Is Africa ready? And is Africa ready for the future? When Africa is still grappling with congested classrooms, shortage of teachers, lack of infrastructure to support and speed up digital, inclusive, equitable, quality education, I'm certain that with your presence in this room, we will find answers to many of these questions. And I'm told that it's only in Africa that we have the number of out-of-school children growing and increasing. In every other part of the world, in every other continent, the number keeps decreasing. But for Africa, the number is growing. How committed are we as government to invest more in education and to look for resources within our countries? There's even a more compelling reason why we are gathered here. We all are witnesses to the compelling factor of dwindling commitment and investment by donors in education in Africa. Therefore, we cannot continue to rely on donor support to finance our education system. We are compelled to look within. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I said, is to welcome you all and to thank ADEA for the choice of Accra, Ghana, for this important ceremony. Momentous for us to look at the resilience of Africa's educational system. If you look around, there are still schools in Africa that are not connected to electricity, let alone connected to the internet. Yet you are talking about a tomorrow digital education future. We need answers from you. So it's now my singular honor and privilege to say a warm welcome to all of you, and trust that your recommendations will provide a blueprint for us to walk in action on how to accelerate investment in education to make our educational system resilient, and to address the ever-nagging question of a mismatch between what African education system produces and what the future of jobs require of us. So it's now my honor, profound honor and privilege to introduce to you Ghana's Vice President, our first female Vice President, a trailblazer. She was our first female Vice Chancellor, and she's accepted to do us the honor of the keynote address. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, help me and join me in welcoming Professor Jenana Opoku-Agyeman to do the formal opening of the ceremony.
One.
We now welcome Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Jenana Opoku-Agyeman, our special guest.
Thank you. Please take your seats. I can address all of us as friends in education. Is that okay? To address everyone as a friend in education. Is that acceptable? Okay, then good morning to. And allow me to refer to the protocol established and to welcome all of you to Ghana. I bring you greetings from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, who was meant to be here, but he was called away on another important
Hello?
Yeah, thank you very much. I started by sending you greetings from His Excellency, the President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, who was meant to be here, but he was called away on another important last-minute assignment. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy, especially at this year's gathering, partly because Ghana is the event you have chosen as your venue, but especially also because this is about human development anchored on education. I commend our Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, and his team. And please accept my welcome to all of you to our beloved country. Enjoy your stay, enjoy our food, especially the Ghana jollof made from local rice. Enjoy our warmth, enjoy our hospitality. These years, I know why the Nigerians are giggling. And we know we have an ongoing battle on who makes the best jollof. But take it from me, Ghana makes the best jollof. This year's gathering has two key aims. First, to take stock of the previous Triennale held 2022, and second, to reflect on the implications of global and continental shifts on education. We have the opportunity to assess what has worked in Africa's education systems, identify the gaps, and explore what we can do differently to improve quality and relevance. As an African-led organization, ADEA's self-assessment must also consider how emerging global trends integrate with our cultures, which have long sustained different forms of education. Across our continent, governments continue to grapple with learning poverty through problems like basic literary skills, despite improvements in school enrollment. So the enrollments have not necessarily matched to outcomes. Learning poverty undermines our development goals. We must prepare our education systems to cope with rapid technological change and societal transformation. But we need to go beyond coping. We must also create, we must contribute to that technology. And we need the skills that make them possible. We must also recognize our achievements. They have been many, even under trying circumstances. I also need to salute all our workers in education, the teachers, the researchers, administrative and support staff, and urge them to do even more and to do even better. Our current age, more than ever, demands that academic knowledge must be matched with avenues for creativity, adaptability, and resilience. I believe the 2025 Triennale will strengthen collaboration among African countries so that our youth will develop the skills and cultural orientation necessary to thrive in today's world. I also recommend that we work closely with individual national planning strategies, and I want to emphasize that, in order to avoid sweeping assumptions about the entire continent. The theme from this event aligns with our government's educational priorities as a country. In this regard, it is in all the types and shapes of education and in all the pillars of our national development that we need to address. Shortly after assuming office, we convened a National Education Forum, which focused on 5 pillars: infrastructure, quality, governance and accountability, financing, and evidence-based decision-making. Through our flagship Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcomes project called the Gallup, we are improving foundational learning and promoting results-based reforms. Gallup now covers all public kindergarten and primary schools, supported by partners such as the World Bank, the Global Partnership for Education, and the Jacobs Foundation. We have also established the Ghana Education Evidence and Data Lab to promote evidence-based policy making and introduce curriculum innovation. Recognizing the power of research, our government has established the National Research Fund with a seed capital of 50 million Ghana cedis from the GET Fund to support research institutions and evidence-driven educational policies. Despite these achievements, financing remains a challenge. Ghana, like many of her peers on the continent, must work very hard to keep pace with rising educational demands, especially in TVET, STEM, and EdTech. But I want to raise and submit that the relevance of education should be directly linked to the long-term economic and social development agendas of our countries. We believe that the time has come for Africa to rely more on her resources to solve her problems. We are being challenged by current circumstances to explore indigenous financing strategies that respond to national needs. We are blessed not only with rich mineral wealth, but also with intelligent, creative youth whose talent can drive Africa's transformation when we take better care of these natural resources and human resources too. Let us mobilize our collective expertise and innovation to create sustainable African funding mechanisms. And you and I know that we can. What I want, before getting to the conclusion, I want to raise that we go beyond that percentages. I've heard that many times in the past and current times too. What percentage we allot to education? Let's go back to the argument and ask, how can we make that pie bigger? If it's so small, if your skills lay in collecting your cocoa into bags and shipping them in the raw state, your pie will not get big. It is when you add value to that cocoa and you upgrade the skills of your people from collecting raw beans into sacks and processing them into derivatives, then you'll get a bigger pie. And then even when you have 1%, you'll notice that that pie is significant. And I want to draw the attention of the African Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation Fund being established by the African Development Bank. And I gather that we all deliberate on how this fund might serve a sustainable alternative to foreign aid, even as every country also look within itself and ask itself, how can I add value to the raw materials I've been exporting? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your kind attention, and I want to wish, and I know that you'll have a very good experience living in our beloved country. Those who have come for the first time, please come back. And those who come often like Martha, please come back again. Thank you, and have a good day.
I think our Vice President deserves another round of applause. Honorable Minister, before her exit, we'd like to request to take a few quick photographs here to save all of us the time. So with your indulgence, so please be seated. We want to invite the Vice President, the Minister, the AU Commissioner, and the rep from ADEA for a quick round of group photographs. And then we'll also call the ministers or their reps here present for the next batch of photographs. That will save us some time. So please come for the podium. We would also invite you respectfully after this session to our cocoa break and also to visit our stands where we have up to 15 or 16 exhibitors. So we're taking 3 rounds. This is the first one for the Vice President and the Commissioner, the Minister from Ghana, and of course the ADEA.